Yo, 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 yo. What's Gucci, guys? Welcome to the Playground Chat. It's your boy, Chinga Time. Welcome to the best sportscast in the land. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being you. You know, it's been a good week. I've got a very, very special guest in the building. As you can see, I'm dressed correct because I've got Umjaka in the building. Let's make some noise. Some noise from SoccerBeat. From SoccerBeat. You know, thank you for coming through. I'm a big fan of the show. I did say to you earlier, I watch it religiously. All three of you, the Sundowns, the Pirates, the Chiefs.
Shout outs.
Just a little bit. But yeah, I'm happy to have you. We're going to unpack, have a good conversation about South African football. And just sports at large. How are you doing? How are you doing, first of all?
Tops, connecting with you, seeing you guys when you all were young rappers, loving soccer, seeing what you guys are doing. I mean, it's an honor to be part of your journey,
Thanks,
because I was once you too, obviously you don't always have the tools, but you have to start somewhere, and I'm really proud and happy for you guys.
I appreciate it.
For sure.
I appreciate it. Let's get right into it. Okay, so just so you know, no fear, no favor. You'll decide what to respond to, what not to respond to. But we're still going to try it anyway. Oh, yes, here we go. Okay, so just about you first.
Sure.
Being a journalist in the game, I don't know if that's the right word to use. I don't know. Maybe the word journalist is a bit formal.
Yeah.
But being in the game, how did your passion for football grow into what you're doing now?
It's the basics of this thing. You first become a player, you're lucky when you're a good player because then you understand things faster than everybody else. So I was one of those guys who just understood the game early, and I became aware of it because I saw myself trying to consume so much of it every day, and I've been lucky then to work with people or to be friends or connected to people that love the game just as much, and I gravitate towards those people and pull so much information. So through that journey, I knew from day one, since I was a kid, but this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna play. Yeah, so the dream never left me. I always tried to be good at playing. Trained extra. Really passionate. Ask questions a lot. And from that, you get a lot of answers and responses. Yeah, and you take them home. So I figured around maybe 12. I could see I'm really, I'm really nice. I'm really nice. And I got recruited. I was at the German school. Got recruited to Werder Bremen in Germany. So in that it was a learnership. So you go to school, you stay at the academy. You train, you go to school, play matches. So that was the life. And that's where, for me, was the wake up call. I'm 13, going to 14, and at 13 already, you're playing with some of the best youth guys in the world. Because at the academy, I'm from South Africa. We had a guy from Namibia, Nigeria, 2 guys from Morocco, South Korea, Japan, Poland. Multiple countries. We're about 44 of us from different countries. And a few from Germany as well, from other locations. But that were staying there. But some of the Germans would stay with families. Because they could speak the language. So all that for me was that was for me the big eye opener. I was like, I thought I was nice and could compete and improve, and also Germany and Germans are very straight people, so you become they make you mature early. So even as a kid, you're made responsible you get taught about a consequence and tomorrow, thinking about tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. Explain yourself when you make a mistake. A parent literally asks you, why did you do that? Like with a straight face. So Germans are like that, and at that time you get that kind of feedback. But This is what's happening. Some guys are getting picked for national teams. You not. You're starting to see, but what the?
Something.
Maybe, just maybe I might not.
You might not. Okay.
You know, I might not go all the way. Maybe I'm not that nice. You know, but I was very popular at school.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. I was very popular at school, so that's when the TV interest came in. At that time, there was a guy called Stefan Raab. He's a talk show host in Germany. But the way he was discovered, it was in that year. He was discovered. He's like one of those early age reality type of
TV guys. Yeah.
He was seen making fun in a station, and got recruited. You know what I mean? He actually made a joke. Like Umjaka.
Okay.
When he climbed on the building to launch him, he did like those kind of skits.
Type of things,
yeah, bro. And we all, as youth, can go get your man. We were all like, "Oh, this guy," And he got a talk show instantly, basically from the street to
the talk show,
prime time talk show, and representing the youth. And we, so that's for me. That was like, you know what, the school the people at school like me, the players I play with at the internat. At the academy, they like me. Opponents usually, you shake hands and they want to talk to you. So like maybe I've got like a persona. That I can build. I can be that guy, but for soccer. So that's when for me I was 14 in Germany. I'm thinking, okay, cool. This doesn't work out. That's definitely the lane I'm gonna go and invite soccer players and of course I'm not thinking journalism, writing. I'm thinking TV. That's my thing. But of course, my favorite subject was history, English, German, the languages. So you're writing a lot. Now you're starting to sketch. You're sketching, you write. So that's when I was like, you know what? I used to write them for my classmates. Like you can ask them, even now they say, hey, you're doing exactly what you said you're going to do. I used to write like newsletters. Describe something for them, that happened in a soccer game, or like get them to sit around and I'd explain in detail. So I was already then there was Felicia Mabuza now launching, and I was like, I think the more I do this, the more, Then the internet Kickoff magazine, launched. I went to hang out at the Absa building, would sit there like, yo man, anytime you want me to carry your bag,
let me help you out.
I'd bother all those journalists all the time. But the marketing guy, he's actually his pops owns a surgery here. He was a young guy. He knew me from soccer. Like, say, what are you doing? I'm like, yo man, I always come here and I'm like, I just want to hang out. Like I just want to see what goes on.
What happens
in
inside.
Magazine? How do you make a magazine? Took me in, man. Had coffee, followed around. Send me to the printer to print stuff, and now your eyes are gazing. I was like, okay, maybe my entry will be via this thing. And if you want to go to university, there's no university for TV to present, but there's university to learn how to write. And then UCT had film and media, so I was like, okay, that's the lane.
That's the lane you want to go in.
Already grade 11. That's when I shot straight for it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to UCT. I'm gonna do this. And I'm eventually that's where I'm gonna get to.
Wow. So for some of you who don't know, like Kickoff magazine for us was like for Fabrizio Romano before Fabrizio Romano, anyone. We had nothing. We'd wait for the magazines, and that's where we got all of our cutouts from. The Kickoff and the Laduma, we get our cutouts.
Soccer babes, man.
Yeah, man.
Soccer babes, yo.
That's the era that I grew up, watching. I mean, when South African football was for me at its peak. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We're going into that lane now. Like, what's your honest take on the current state of South African football from the lower leagues all the way to Bafana? I think we had a little bit of a chat about it before. Just a general take, and then we'll unpack that from there.
Look, we're in a scary place where the world is open. It's global. Players are developing the right way. Mufukengs and them, you can see they're nice. They're ready for the global stage. Our under 20 team won an African title. Under 17 team qualified for the World. So our kids are up there. Have always been up there. So we don't have a shortage of players. So in that sense, the game is in the right place because Like I've said to you offline, people forget the basics of the game. Is actually the ball and the players. That has never changed, and it will never change, no matter how much we try to manipulate anything. The contest is between players, and they all trying to get the ball into the goal, and that won't change. So in that sense, for that to happen, we've got enough people, and we've got the talent for more games to be played, and even more games to be played, and even, you know what I mean. Do we have the people to manage the game? I don't think we have a problem there neither, because if soccer is the most popular sport in South Africa, let's say the most played sport in South Africa, but only a handful of people become professionals, so what happens to everybody else that didn't make it? So they are in the offices somewhere, they're in places somewhere, right? And they're probably doing a stellar job, right? Now imagine they brought that to the game that they played. So we don't have enough of that. So many ex-players are not involved in football. In football. And I don't mean ex-players in professional level. I mean just basic. You played soccer up to 18. You made friends. It helped you build up and become confident. As they always say, play sport to do this. As soon as they get all those benefits, there's a lot of that doesn't come back to the game to help other kids and help the next generation to get exactly what you need.
What you also got from it, yeah.
And we don't have that brain power or brain matter involved in the game. Maybe we don't create the opportunities for these people, but that's what's lacking, is that there's not enough of the right people involved in managing the game and making sure it manifests and continues to manifest, or even goes through an evolution. And an evolution is literally that made things difficult for you, making sure that it's not difficult for the next person is already an evolution. And it doesn't take rocket science or an amazing formula to do it. You just have to do. Lando says on Tasira coach, he gave up his time with his family. Somebody else, that's what it takes.
Yeah, no way.
That's what it takes.
So I need to get a little bit deeper, a little bit, right? So we know that there's many divisions up in South Africa, and my biggest take, and it has been for a long time on this podcast, is the number one thing that's killing our game is how interchangeable the institutions are. And I say I don't even think using the word institution is right when it comes to South African football landscape, because I'm making a big example. I'll use Super Sports United as an example, right? That's a big example.
Perfect.
Super Sports United is a 3-time PSL champions. They've produced some of the most talented players this country has ever seen. In general, it's one of the clubs where you look at it and it's like that they were tied and affiliated with the school. So they became part of the fabric of not only South African and the PSL, but part of the fabric of Pretoria. Kids had a pathway with Super Sports United to go and live their dream. And in the drop of a hat, the next person who comes in doesn't buy Super Sports United, he buys the status. And now all of that work that has been put in for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years with Super Sports United, the scouting networks, the know-how, is gone. And now we're going to have to trust that these guys who've bought the status are going to last. And what showed us in the last 5, 10, 15 years, I can put money on it, they're not going to be here for long either.
Yep.
100%. It's like 100%. It's crazy.
In one of the at SoccerBeat, we're very passionate about engaging with the people in the comments. Because a lot of the stuff that we're always gonna do. Remember, even if I think something is smart, it must be something that you like. As a person that watches SoccerBeat. So the whole thing is not about how amazing and insightful
I am.
You know what I mean? It's literally about giving you you ask a question and we try and find out more information for you, because that's what you want. You want more information about the players.
Yeah.
We're just a platform, to make sure
give you
that
that
happens.
information,
Yeah, bro. So we understand that very well, and we take it further into the comments, and we literally, I go through all the comments, to find out if we're delivering the right thing, or if the people are giving us feedback that we can use, and they raised that in one of the comments, saying if a club, and it was exactly about SuperSport United, that if a club exists for more than 10 years in a certain area, right, they shouldn't just have a right of just relocating without consult. Like,
exactly,
somewhere there must be an attachment.
Yes,
that yes, you can buy the club, but it's rooted somewhere. You can't, like a house. You can't just pick it up.
Yes, you're gonna buy the house there.
You know what I mean? And just renovate it if you must.
Fix it up. Put the fence on it.
I thought that was very smart. It's just a pity I don't have the name of the person that left the comment. But I thought that was very smart. I thought it's something that even when you're gonna make a decision, it's something that should be brought to the table of that discussion when you're gonna buy a club. Like, by the way, I need you to do right by the people of this location. You know what I mean? What do you promise as the potential buyer? But on the flip side, the way the game is set up also, is not set up that way. It's set up in such a way that it's me paying the money for this club from grassroots all the way up to the pros. All the time, I'm paying the petrol, I'm paying maybe even registration fees, investing heavily in this club as a businessman of that location. Now it gets success, right? It gets to the top. It's been my money all this time, so understandably, should the right offer come, say I spent 80 million to get the club there, and as an offer comes for 90 million, right? As a good businessman, I'm like, I make 10.
True.
I make 10 and walk away.
From the business side, yeah. True, from the business side as the businessman. But my thing is, maybe then as the structure, I think it's a SAFA thing that needs to be changed in terms of the rule book. In terms of, I don't know, man. It's only in South Africa where you can buy a Mercedes-Benz and change it into a Ferrari. Or
it's another brilliant thought, because another comment, got another comment like that, and it's again it speaks exactly to that uprooting.
It shouldn't be.
When you buy the club, just flipping its identity like that. It's crazy.
And the fans. SuperSport was a very successful club.
Yeah.
I don't even want to make an example about Bloemfontein Celtic.
Yeah.
Even worse, hurts me worse.
How can you not want to buy that heritage? That heritage. That's what I mean.
I don't understand.
To own that heritage as a to have.
Their thought is that they're going to create a Bloemfontein Celtic, but even at that they failed. No, it's going to be Celtic United. They're going to try to model it into the identity of Bloemfontein Celtic, but at the end of the day, it's not the same.
Yeah, it won't
also be. Because of the same thing we're speaking about now.
Yeah.
It's because somewhere someone decided it's okay to sell Bloemfontein Celtic status.
Yeah.
And I'm as a businessman,
yeah.
I don't know if as a businessman, to me, that is one club that has record sales in terms of jerseys. That this club will always be well supported, which means your number one revenue stream on match day, the concessions, the clothing, the tickets. And then you decided no, I'm going to uproot that. So you're saying as a business, I think it's an ego thing. I think rich guys in this country want to bring the PSL to their specific place. If I'm from Venda and I have money to buy, I don't care if I'm buying a club from Cape Town. It's an ego thing, because not only am I spending, I can't be business. I'm not only spending that much amount of money, but I'm also now going to have to find a new facility. I'm also now going to. Now all of that was already built there.
If we just took a step back, right? I fully understand what the businessmen are doing. You know, they want to be part of this because it's an exciting thing to be part of. The PSL is truly, truly magical. You know, and understandably, you grow up supporting. I mean, these businessmen are exactly what I described earlier. They are guys who couldn't get into the game. Somehow. But they used to play this game. It's like now they're rich and they've never had an opportunity to give back and
do something,
because Safa and whoever is running football in the grassroots never opened up
difficult for them.
You know, so it's a lot of guys with good intentions. You know, we have to start there. These guys love the game, guys. You know, they'd love to have a club play against Chiefs that they support. They used to grow up supporting. Because again, Kaizer Chiefs is not creating the opportunity for them to join Kaizer Chiefs like they dream to.
Get you.
So the next best thing is to have a club that's at least
close, that's
going to get you close to Kaizer Chiefs, and it's understandable. You know, and if you have the money to do it, I mean,
why not?
All good to you, you know what I mean. There's people who benefit from that action. You know, while SuperSport is losing
somewhere, Bloemfontein is gaining
benefit,
a PSL club.
You know? Not in a way that pleases all of us. But somehow Bloemfontein is gonna wake up. You know?
True.
And it is what it is. We have to take it that way. So you have to be understanding to that situation that these guys lose a lot of money. You know, really lose a lot of money. And when it looks like it's a quick pathway to have a seat around the table and sit with Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates and discuss football, you know, you will pay that money.
Just to be in that room.
To be in that room. And that's the way the game is set up at the professional level, is that the owners sit in one room.
And they decide
so
what
these guys
next.
are all buying into that. You know, NFL is the same in the States. It's commission. It's run by owners, billionaires. So if you're a billionaire, you want to be in that table, you know.
So that you can discuss with other billionaires.
In that boys club, because you have other interests.
Together, that business interests. So,
you know. So it's a higher level of thinking. And understanding, because we love the game, because the game is so basic, but made complicated by what I'm just said.
Structures.
By what I just said, you know, we love the game, but if maybe they could communicate these things better to the people to understand that at the end of the day, I'm gonna serve my own interests as an owner. Get attached to my club,
but at the end of the day, remember that. I'm gonna serve my own
instead
interests.
of selling the dream of, I'm going to come and save the community and make sure it's relevant again. And, you know, because now if this project maybe in Bloemfontein fails as well,
and then what happens?
You know what I mean? After all of that. So it must be honest. No, I'm saying it must be
true.
Don't sell
a dream of a community building project when you're in it as a business guy.
You know what I mean?
And you can't uproot it in any way.
Spaza shops don't act like they love us.
Like they hate, yes.
There's a counter, you buy and you leave. Like there's no relationship that's needed. But I come back and support every single day. Because he's got what I need.
And it's convenient.
And it's convenient, you know. So if the soccer club can set up something like that, a clear message of, we're going to play a game, you can come watch. Or not, you know. This one, you know what I mean?
But do you not think then that being in Europe and seeing how, as a community member, you're the custodian of the. I think that's the way it changed.
It's completely different. It's completely different.
I own the club as the supporter. You run the club, yes, share, but you cannot kill. You know what I mean?
Without consulting,
they'll ostracize you.
You
know what I mean?
In Germany, it's even deeper in that.
They don't 50 plus 1.
That's right. That's right. So even if you do sell, there's that 1% is a big discussion. Because again, it then becomes like the heritage, the history is then attached to that. Like, you know, you can't just flip that history away. So that's where it always stands. That's where it always stands.
The fans will always have more
say, you know, because of that. It's been done, though. Red Bull Leipzig bought the club. They found a way, but they had to start from
lower level.
They couldn't just buy at the top. They had to buy at the bottom.
Lower level.
They changed the club. They didn't move that club. They just changed the name of the club. You know, yes, it has moved now because they needed bigger premises and you know, but it's still in the same town. You know, it's boosting the same economy. But at least that was a system. Again, like I said, be clear from the beginning.
What
those guys were clear from the beginning. They are creating a network of clubs They are willing to do whatever that country requires of them to be part of
that league.
Part of that league. So we're gonna do it and buy a club in the lower divisions,
and we'll come up.
And they did that. And the way we're gonna do it, we have a lot of players in our network. We're gonna send them around.
Yeah.
It was a clear message that can't be misunderstood by anybody.
Do you think
they're delivering it now?
Do you think that they set a precedent now, going a little bit off that, for these multi-club ownerships we're seeing all over? Do you think they've opened a big can of worms that now we're all going to deal with?
They have. I don't think it's a big can of worms, because the way they've done it is actually commendable. You know, there hasn't been a situation where you've seen a clear conflict of interest.
Okay.
You know, there was a time, I think Leipzig and Salzburg. It was. I think there was potentially a chance of them facing each other in the Champions League. You know, and the club ownership thing came in, because now they're in the same pot,
in the same competition.
Yeah, and it's knockout stages now, so it could be, right? You can avoid each other in the group. Yeah, in the group stages you're in different phases, but now in the knockout,
it could.
You know, because Salzburg is ranked low. You know, so it was a good headache to have, because our club networking has always been there. You know, it could have been possible that Ajax Cape Town and Ajax Amsterdam could have faced each other in the Club World Cup. You know,
I see what you mean.
So while just because that didn't happen doesn't mean it's not been happening.
It's not been happening. Okay,
it's been happening. It's just that we always wake up when the big saga is about to happen and say, and then we aim at those guys, not looking at everybody else. Chelsea have had a network of clubs for years. They just didn't name them Chelsea.
Yeah.
You know, they have a club in Holland, Belgium. You know, 3 South Africans were in the Chelsea network club in Belgium. They were formed there, you know, to train, be away from the London pressure, you know, and adjust to European conditions. Aaron Mokoena, same thing. He went via Belgium. First Germany, Belgium to Ajax, you know. So these things have been happening. Arsene Wenger, you know, invested, you know. So those things have been happening. It's just that we only wake up when that big saga happens. So it's not a big can of worms. You know, that we have to, like, as we say, we have to deal. It's more the game. You know,
it's progressed to that now.
Literally opened up. So what they've done is opened up and said, guys,
this is a better way to do it.
We got here. You guys have been doing this, but your clubs never had to face each other. Right?
Look at us.
That's the way we're supposed to look at it and say, damn, Red Bull.
They're killing it.
They definitely did
it.
If
they have 2 clubs,
they can potentially have 5 clubs in the Club World Cup. That's how good they've done it.
Yeah, they've
you
done
know what
it.
I mean? And that's what.
If you look at it that way,
if you look at it that way, that Red Bull has executed, you know, very well in this case. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be too harsh on
them alone, but it's something
I want to be like,
happening.
I think they've literally showed us the you know, where our future is going.
No, I think if you're looking at it that way, that's true. I mean, everyone now has got that City Group, Blue Coat,
you
Chelsea.
know what I mean? Yeah,
everyone is doing it now, but now they're doing it, you know.
Just their clubs never had to face each other.
True. No, true. I think if you look at it in that way, Red Bull is the best.
I mean,
because Red Bull, they win everywhere. Everywhere they go, they do well.
You know.
Just another question. We're going a little bit on a tandem there, but this is the way the podcast goes. Okay. Which South African player do you feel is the most undervalued, despite being consistent in their performances? Which was underrated.
I'd say last season, Keletso Mkhalwa, Sekhukhune United, is up there. Should be, but again, you remember, a lot of these things are attached to your history, and you know, so it was almost like a breakthrough season
for him
this season. He's getting his breakthrough, unfortunately, from a smaller club. Smaller club. I want to use the small market. I want to use that word. Smaller market club. You know, because I don't want to say small club. Because
Sekhukhune, they're doing well organized.
Heavily involved in their community as well. Got a king honor, like they've been recognized by their chief in Sekhukhune. got a great mascot. Like it's a club.
Yeah, it's
like
a club.
It's a full-on club.
True,
They got a
true.
CSI community projects. Like, you know what I mean?
They're actually doing what we were
the
speaking
thing.
about.
Yeah, that's
with
supposed to be
clubs
done.
wanting, yeah.
That's why I don't want to use small club.
No, I also like them a lot.
Yeah, you know, and they're winning.
I like them a lot.
Back in they could have made it to the CAF Champions. Confederations
Cup. They were playing well
every
this season.
they're competing for that.
Yeah,
they're
playing well.
You know, so and I mean, how old are they? You know, 11 years, 10. You know, so
and I also like the way they're also very aggressive in the market. They to compete.
For what they need.
Yeah,
you know,
they to compete.
Yeah. So Keleto took that chance, you know, to resuscitate his career from Sundowns. He's always been promising, you know. I do feel he could be mentioned a lot more, or analyzed a lot more.
Yeah.
To reveal his performances, you know, even if it's stats or whatever. I'd say also, I mean, I'm not exactly a fan, right? CBC at Pirates.
Okay.
You know, I won't say underrated. I won't say underrated. I say undermined. You know, everybody seems to be looking to replace him
so quick. Yeah,
so
true,
quickly.
True,
even after the season that he's had, you know, everybody
is asking questions about a new
centre back. They're still checking his quality. Like there were problems at Pirates, centre back problems, and he filled in.
For a while.
He filled in. You know, didn't get injured. You know,
and he was consistent. Yeah,
you know,
true. That's the most important thing.
But it's football. You know, it's you know, it seems like they're always looking for a weakness in him. You know, for me, it's hard to see. Right, because I feel like, you know, we're doing it as fans, and then we cry wolf when it's the owner or the coach
who does it,
or the coach that says, even after a good season, I'm going to buy another player to replace you. We feel like after giving so much to the club, you know, but we're doing the same with these players. You know, we're doing exactly the same. You know, how dare us as fans say something like that? I mean, CBC really
he captained us
the
whole season.
You know what I mean? And we can't be so quick to you know to judge. You know, maybe there are better players out there, you know, but we're judging on performances. So I feel like CBC could be mentioned a lot more for performances. Not talking about his future and where you think he belongs or where you rate him. You know, I'm just saying, as in the performances that he had last season, you know, could be mentioned with a little bit more respect. I'm sure he's mentioned in the defender of the season. I'm sure he's there, but with a little bit more respect. You know, there's too much. You know, I like him, you know,
which is not fair.
Yeah,
especially like I'm a Pirates fan.
Yeah,
so I watch religiously. So for me, maybe 2 seasons ago or season ago, I wasn't sure about him. I also think it rubbed what other Pirates fans were saying started to rub off on me.
Exactly.
But this season, I actually really watched him, and I really like him. You know, even on the ball, Pirates is a team that plays a lot with the ball from the back. He's solid. He was solid defensively. He was solid on the ball. He scored important goal away in Polokwane. So there's certain things that he did, and I'm like, this guy is solidified. For me, the person that should be maybe out of the door is Kogi for me. I like him, but I think Tapelo, it's time for us to open up the opportunity for Mbogazi to play more games. But yeah, that's
nature of the beast.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just think maybe he could add value to another club like Chipa, where they need an experienced head at the centre back.
Sure.
But Pirates' trajectory right now, we speak about more of the PSL club's trajectory, but I think they're going on. I don't know. I'll talk about it just now. I don't want to skip to that.
Sure.
Okay, so same question, but about a coach. Which coach do you think? And speaking about coaching, also let's get into the Pirates coaching, the new Pirates coach, and then I'll give my opinion after. I want to hear your insight first before I give my opinion on him.
Yeah, we could talk about Polokwane City. We could talk about Magesi a lot more. We could talk about Amazulu's work. You know, we could talk about what other club? Amazulu. Richards Bay was unstable, so we can't put that on coaching. Amazulu, I'd say definitely. Polokwane City, we could have mentioned a lot more. Maybe Magesi, of course, in the change when Owen Dagama got there.
And I was already gone anyway.
Yeah, we could talk. the reason I don't want to mention the head coaches and say we could talk about those head coaches is because in these particular teams, Sikukune as well, we could have done a lot more with Siema. Because the team was doing relatively well. He didn't get fired for not doing well, but the reason I don't want to single out the head coaches, what's happening with that. We talked also a little bit about the coaching. How the coach, everybody's so well educated. Yeah. Right. All these coaches, you can tell they surround themselves with such smart people. Analysts and assistant coaches, goalkeeper,
the whole
coaches.
team.
Yeah. So the way these guys have put these people together, Amazulu, for instance, have got a young coach who comes from Amazulu's system and KZN also, So it's not only like an Amazulu coach, but came through the KZN structures of youth and, worked with some of the elite players that were coming up. Those players are now in the pros. So this guy now can tell Coach Arthur about a guy from like these young cats and say, this Bongile used to be like this. I've always thought he can play this coach. So try him there, because when I tell him, he won't listen. Those kind of insights. I've always thought he's a better defender this way. So they've got these guys around them. Sikukune, they've got one from Cape Town City. He's actually a Cape Townian. Analyst. Chipa have a sporting director that was an analyst at Sukukune. Snesi Pomali. So these are the guys for me that, yes, we can talk about the head coaches, but let's look at the whole club.
The whole club now,
the
what they're doing.
The way the head coach is managing, has got himself the right people around him to get these things going. So, and I can tell you, look at how they're also doing their transfers. It's so intentional. Amazulu are cleaning up all the guys who are maybe 28 and older and maybe only playing half of the season. So if you're 28 and older and not playing 30 games, you're out. So you can see strategically that guys,
there's a clear plan.
That you can understand. It's a good place to be. It's a good place to be.
I mean, South Africa has always been a place, like I was speaking about earlier, where the head coach was, like you said, was the world, the centerpiece. And every season, because there's an ever-changing that's just the way football is around the world. A coach can get fired anytime. What happens then to those 30 players that I've brought in?
100%.
And I think having this technical director, people say, Mia, as a coach, how do you feel about having? I'm like, it's good for the club. You know what I mean? Because head coaches are no longer the manager.
He must just not be conflicted. Exactly. He mustn't be conflicted. You can't have a technical director or sporting director that is not cemented in his position, saying, this is what I'm doing. He's forever correcting you. We'll get you fired and I'll do this job. Like, you can't have you can't have that kind of relationship. It mustn't be a guy that has wishes
to be a head coach.
We
have a lot of those technical directors.
Way too many.
That's a nice technical directors who want to be the head coach.
Way too many.
That's what ends up happening. I mean, also clubs must stop hiring head coaches as technical directors.
100%. Again,
if Calvin Johnson, for example, comes in as the head as a technical director, I know as the head coach, how many months do I have left? How many seconds do I have left? But I love those clubs that you mentioned. Also for me, there's been a big trajectory in terms of clubs and owners understanding the need to correct those structures. And yes, for example, but for me, sometimes yes, it can be for good or bad. For me, my guesses one was a bit baffling. Getting rid of Owen after the big turnaround that Owen did with the club. For me, they become relegation favorites from that. From that already, they become relegation favorites because I don't see how Clint Lawson fixes this alone. Very experienced coach, but I don't think he's the right guy. He's going to want to play in a way. He's going to want to make them play like they're a team that can win a lot of games. I don't know, the way he likes to play football. And it was about fucking like they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
It wasn't ideal. They're going to move in a different direction. And again, it feels like the biggest issue for Makesi will be also attracting the right players to come. Whichever coach, I mean, they got I need to get his name right. It's a young French guy also coming in. So does he does he come in to coach what's there? With maybe he's coming because he's quite young. I think 28, coming maybe brilliant ideas, but
the tools,
right? And will there be enough time to make those tools maybe better? Because, right, making it into the PSL first of all, you're better than most. Right. So let's start there. Those players are not bad players. They're better than us.
Let's just get out the way.
End it there. Will they be able to execute and understand what the coach needs from them? That's going to be the big question. And then, do they then get the right pieces? Are those pieces available to come to where they stay, where they're based? Right? It's another small market.
The problem is, are you going to want to come live there?
You understand what I'm saying?
The dynamics.
And play for a team that you know
is relegation favorites.
He's going to struggle a lot.
Because Owen came and he changed he made them play in like a team that's in
He
knew exactly that these guys are in trouble. I'm here to make sure that we're solid, we don't concede a lot of goals, and we will nick one on the counter.
Finishing clear. And
now we're gonna get guys that want to play again. Maybe the owner or the technical director wants to, but I honestly, for me, relegation favorites, Magesi and Obed College. I also think, I don't know, this is me, but I don't think Obed College makes it into the PSL. I don't think I think John Committees and those, I don't know, I have a funny feeling.
Would be great. I mean, it would make business sense for Obed College to go back to the NFD, right? Right, but also you don't want to. Those players worked hard for this, so it's hard. It's hard to just make a decision like that. You know, the cool situation that Obed College is in is like many other fairy tale stories of very global fairy tale stories. You know, there's a team Holstein Kiel in the Bundesliga as well, from a small market in the north. You know,
they knew with that coach, that 41-year-old coach.
They knew they were going to struggle, and at the end of the season, they still clapped. The fans were still excited. Even relegation was confirmed sooner than, you know what I mean. So it becomes an experience because the club gets in knowing. They come in knowing. So I wouldn't blame Obed College for coming in and playing the 30 games like it's a final. Because they might not get it again. Right? And that's enough for them to tick a box and say, I made it from dusty streets.
And also, exactly, they came up very, you know
what I mean? So I wouldn't blame them for staying and giving those players the experience that they earned. You know, it would be tough for them to compete because, for obvious reasons, they don't have the funds. You know,
the traveling.
But it's a beautiful story.
That's a beautiful one.
It's a beautiful story that could boost the profile. The profile of the PSL. You know, it could boost the area. You know, there hasn't been pro football in the area
for a long time.
You know, the king might decide now again
to invest.
You know, the Royal Bafokeng. You know what I mean?
Because they already have a home ground waiting.
They've got a home ground waiting that hasn't been used.
It hasn't been used for a while.
And it could be exciting to see local kids. You know, even if they lose, but just watching.
Just coming to see them, coming to watch PSL games.
You know, you know, Bukone Bupirima is a South African, unique South African story. You know, unique South African region. You know, that deserves, you know, to have its players playing everywhere. So, yes, they might struggle. And I would like to agree with you and say Magesi and Obed College could struggle. You know, but I don't want to say Obed College. It won't be a great experience.
No, it would.
It might hurt for Magesi.
I want them not to sell.
Yeah.
For me, I was speaking to Don and I told him I don't want them to sell. The major reason why I don't want them to sell is for that reason. Imagine as a kid, let's say you were playing ABC 2 seasons ago, and you came up with them, and now you made it in. No one else gave you an opportunity. No one else gave you a look, and now you're in the big time. And I hope the powers that be at Obed College, I hope they don't see this John Committee's check as a way out. I think John Committee's needs to, for me, my opinion, I think they need to suffer the wrath of relegation. I think Cape Town City, being such a structurally good club, should never have found themselves in that position.
100%.
And they need a season he needs us out of our to go and figure this out. It's not the first club is relegated. If you've relegated 2 clubs or more, you shouldn't be allowed to come back. This is my opinion. You shouldn't, because 9 times out of 10, you've shown us, Uzo, you're going to do it again. Whether it not be this, maybe in 10 years' time, but something happens, he has a disconnect, and then let's give him a chance out. I know for Cape Townians are going to be looking at me in the comments saying, as a Cape Townian, dog, you're supposed to be happy. It's fine. I think we needed, I called it an exorcism for London. I said we needed an exorcism in Cape Town, and we've got it. We've got it. So from now on, what happens now? Stellenbosch has shown us how to do it the right way. Let's look at doing it the right way in terms of that. In terms of the top of the league now.
Yeah.
When we talk about the top of the league, do you think anyone toppled Sundowns? Or... us Pirates fans. Hey, next year,
listen. No. This one I really have to. I have to be fair.
Yeah.
And say, look, the game of football is no longer just played by names. Sundowns is very strong.
Yep.
Very good team. But you could also tell that, all of their challengers. All the other 15 teams, there was always something missing, always something extra that's missing, or they don't have enough of that extra. They had 1-2 players, So Pirates got really close, and if you think about it, they got really close without Saleng. If Saleng sticks around, it gets a little bit closer. I'm not saying they win the title, but would have a much better feedback session, right? Knowing that Pirates put out everything that they could.
Yeah,
right?
They played their best team possible all the time.
Yeah. Now, Saleng stays, right? Comes back this coming season. Now, in that team, there's Sipho Mbule. So now it's not just Tito holding the ball and making sure things happen. Now it's Tito and Sipho. So Tito now doesn't have to come deep and go and frustrate everybody by getting the ball at the halfway line.
Yeah.
He now camps a little bit further up. And does this exactly the same thing that everybody loves him for, but he does it closer to the box.
Yeah.
Does that give everybody that has been lacking goals, Mabasa, Mahopa, the strikers, Radiopane, does it not give them better opportunities?
It does.
It gives them better looks.
It does.
Right?
But sorry to cut you off there, but I think Pirates need to sign a proper striker.
Now, again, I'm going to say there, maybe not.
Okay.
They've got 4 strikers that didn't get the same service
that they could get this season.
Guys, Saleng's influence at Pirates is next level. Right? Not just because he scores goals or whatever, but everybody else around him.
Starts
the team. You see it, man. You see it. They believe. I mean, how many goals they scored in the late second half last season? You could tell they're championship ready now.
Side,
you could tell until Saleng wasn't there. Now, Mabasa was a leading goal scorer the season before that.
Yep.
There's just no way he couldn't have been the leading goal scorer the next season. There was a problem with supply, So he didn't really get a fair shot at showing that he's either missing goals or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't say it was a conversion rate thing. So if there's no conversion rate issue, then why change the strikers? If they were not getting the chances.
I get you.
If there was a conversion rate issue, then I'd say let's look at it. But let's allow the strikers to first take shots. Pirate strikers don't take enough shots. They don't get enough looks. Now I think with Sipho there, whoever, but the team is just much stronger.
Do you think Sipho? Do you think being in Johannesburg for Sipho is a good thing?
Yeah, look.
Because of the situations, Deep Kloofy, we know Gwenzagalani, we know these things. We know.
Look,
it's up to the Pirates fans. I keep saying to my Pirates fans, hey, if you see him there, it's our responsibility to look after the guy. I think Munib also said it in one of them.
Yeah,
the SoccerBeat.
100%.
It's our responsibility to look after this guy now.
100%.
Because he's got it.
He's got it. Yeah, and at one stage, he also has to look in the mirror. And because we also got things to do, man. We can't invest ourselves. We can't invest so much of ourselves on someone we know is gonna change his mind or do something else that we're not part of.
So
I think if there was a loud message to him at the moment is that there's so
Don't
many
mess it
people
up.
that love him. Eh?
Yeah.
There's so many people that care, that want him to do well.
Do well.
You know, so yes, for sure, part of it will be us calling him to order when we see him. But also, we also have to call ourselves to order and look after ourselves first, as just as humans.
As humans,
so,
yeah.
I can't now worry about a player that, you know, that doesn't affect me daily as much, you know. But on Saturday, I need him to perform, and then he doesn't, you know, as I expect him. So, in that sense, he has to understand that the relationship can end. You know, yes, we're showing so much interest in him, but if he doesn't bring it, I have every right to turn around and say, "Yo, man, I don't have the time to watch this." You know, and he has to understand that those days are also gonna come where we're gonna say,
we're gonna be like,
we're gonna be, you know,
why is he
to,
playing?
Now he has to go back and work. It happens to us at work. We get, you know, you submit something that's substandard. Your boss will tell you, no, go work on that again, and it's standard. Everybody goes through it, so it shouldn't be different for soccer players.
True.
That they must be prepared. They must prepare themselves, but they must be prepared by people to tell them this road will go like this. You know, don't cave when it goes like that. Don't go, you know, into the bottle or whatever you use.
But don't do that.
Don't do that, because
focus, rework, and come back.
You understand what I'm saying? Find other ways, maybe, you know. But the main thing that we all want to do, we want to see on the pitch.
That's the main thing,
you know. And I don't want us to move without mentioning Chiefs.
Yeah, no.
As a contender.
You think what? As a contender?
Tell you why. Chiefs. Check how many games they lost and how close those games were.
Yep. Yeah.
And then check how many chances were missed by Chiefs versus the opponent.
Okay.
In those games. Okay. One of the highest, you know, chance creating teams in the league. Right. They just didn't have the right strikers to convert those chances. Now imagine they have a striker that scores 10 goals or more. Right. Now, if any of those two strikers does that this season, Chiefs are already in the top 8, possibly top 6.
Yeah.
Right. Now, they've got a creative midfielder that they signed from England, Ethan, free kick specialist. So if he adds 8 to 12 goals, right? If he adds 8 to 12 goals, that becomes 20 extra goals. 20. They could potentially get 20 extra goals. Then I want to challenge the people in the comments. Go have a look at Chiefs' goals scored last season and add these 20 goals
and see where they end up.
Where that lands them.
I think also Chiefs fans a lot. I chill a lot with Chiefs fans, and I told them, look, when I watch Nabi, right, he's done a very good job. And you say, what do you mean? I'm saying, look, Chiefs have gone from a team where nobody actually wanted to watch them, not because of the results, but because of the brand. They lost the glamour boys thing. They lost those style of play, the identity. And Nabi's playing good football. And I've always said he needed time. But it would be a miss of me to call them a challenger. I always have to dismiss Chiefs. But realistically, yes, I do see what you mean.
Yeah.
I've watched them. I've seen them create. It always has been a problem with them finishing.
Yeah.
I've always said, for a team like Chiefs, also like Dupree, for example.
Imagine he adds 8.
You know what I mean?
You know, like it's crazy. And I really and the people in the comments might also say, oh, defense. Yo, man, if I score 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, it doesn't matter if I leak a goal in the back.
Yeah, it also,
you know what I mean?
The other team's confidence gets diminished.
And they might not even get the chances or create those chances.
Exactly.
You know, the other team creates chances because they're constantly in the game. You know, so it's not really the defense. It's just that eventually, if you don't score the goals there, eventually the other team also
gets more chance. They feel like they can. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
You kill games as quickly as possible. That's
100%,
how it should be.
100%.
And lastly, we talk about the team on top. What do you think they do with these guys that didn't go to the Club World Cup? Do they allow? I think with Tapelo, they're trying to get Maseko to.
Agent. Yeah, they're working on a deal to send him overseas. But he's worth keeping around. Young, he's young enough to come off the bench and do all that. Because it is what it is now. He's no longer that player that was that we all saw he was. And he has to accept some kind of role.
Do you think Sundowns need to change the transfer policy in terms of the amount of players that they bring in? Because I think there's a lot of talented players that are sitting there basically to run down contracts.
Yeah.
And there's some clubs who could benefit from having these players. I mean, I think Sang is one of the players that coming up in had a keen interest in. What happens to him?
Let me put it to you this way. Even without playing, at the Sundowns, do you think the Sundowns players are bad players now, even when they're not playing? Like, do you think? I mean, you don't see Mjaka a lot, right? But when he steps, he played a few games.
Yeah.
Did he look out of beat?
No,
he didn't. Right. So, has the move to Sundowns really then been that bad? If a player has improved. You know what I mean?
I get you.
If the players improve. So even if you're on the bench at Sundowns, right, sportingly, you're still getting everything that you signed up for to be a professional soccer player.
True.
You're able to afford a lifestyle. You go to training at a top class facility, top class coaches, top class sessions, top class. You might not make the team, but your working environment
is good.
Is next level.
Yeah.
Next level.
True.
And you can't swap. You can't swap that kind of thing for, no disrespect, maybe small market team where there's a lot of these things that are not there. Where you can't. I've heard stories of players that have moved from big clubs to, the guy now gets shy of wearing his big watches because the players around him can't wear big watches.
Also I heard a story of, what's that club? Was it where there are 3 balls?
Yeah.
The PSL club.
You understand what I'm saying?
3 balls.
You understand what I'm saying? So while we can criticize and say that about Sundowns, what those players gain and continue to gain while they're in that environment,
that's true.
Cannot be discounted. And a lot of the fans actually don't know a lot about that, and it's because it's not spoken about a lot. Rivaldo Kazier can walk into any PSL team now, even though he hasn't played for so many,
and still be better than what he have.
Right? So you have to give
11 at Sundowns.
Come on,
that
man.
second 11 can play in the PSL and finish second.
Come on. They won't need 10 games to adjust or anything. They
know they're in it.
Even at Sundowns, those players can come in any time and play. Right?
True.
So that's the level, and that's why I don't want to criticize and point that out. The reason I also don't want to point that out is that Orlando Pirates themselves have a lot of players that they signed that don't end up doing anything.
Actually doing anything there, okay.
So
it's not a Sundowns thing.
It's not a Sundowns thing.
Okay.
True. It's just that Sundowns is doing it and then beating the favorites.
Oh, the bigger,
the so it's making what Sundowns is doing is making everybody upset because their teams are now not winning.
True.
And that's understandable. But let's be upfront about it and say, you're upsetting me.
Instead of saying you guys are doing something wrong.
Big example, Pirates have signed 11 players.
True.
Sundowns haven't signed anybody.
The most in the league.
Have you heard anybody say Pirates are killing the league?
No.
All those 9 of those players are from the PSL. 9.
And the important players in the clubs that they've
from
come
those clubs. But everybody's celebrating the opportunity for those guys.
So we're looking at it in one way with the other, and okay, so I get you. I totally understand.
Yes.
Do you think Sundowns go to South America again this year for a player?
They always will. They always will, and I think it's a good strategy for South Africa. It's always been there. Pirates had Pio Nogueira, couple of Brazilians after that as well, Chiefs as well. Dr. Kumalo went to Argentina. It's always been a thing. Pele and Jomo Sono's relationship. So it's something that that we failed to activate earlier. Actually, we failed to activate that relationship earlier. Even School of Excellence, they got their foundation right from Brazil. They went on a trip. Farouk Khan, Kevin Johnson, all those guys. Before School of Excellence was founded, they went for a session to learn about youth development in Brazil. So School of Excellence, some of the pillars are modeled around the ideas from Brazil. So it's always been a South American. There was always something that's similar or that we can gain from each other.
From each other, yeah.
I like the aggression that some of the guys bring. to South African football, because we have a lot of DMs that are nice on the ball, because we are that type of having that kind of different energy brought into our game to compete against our finesse players is good.
That South American, I call it Jaques.
Jaques, yeah. Because now it makes our players become better at what they need to do, right? So I think they definitely do. South America has also got great players.
Yeah, quality
that will bring something to our league.
I mean, I'm happy that a player like Ribeiro came and did what he did. Now he stops the token of, do we need to go outside? Yes. If there's an opportunity to get a player, let's bring him.
We should have been set up as a gateway league long ago already. We could easily get some of the cream of the crop
come to us first
between ages 18 to 21 from their native countries via us to Europe.
Yep.
We could have been that, or still could be. Love what Pirates have done now. Yes, they're not exactly 18 or anything, but signing from Mali and because I feel that's something that we lost out of. We watch these guys, the DMs that are created in West Africa.
Yeah, the DMs, center backs, those type of positions. Yeah, where the physicality is needed. Yeah,
oh, man, and we can't not have that.
True.
Al Ahly have got one. So we need
pyramids.
Pyramids. We need, man. And you sit. It's exactly those two games where I was like, damn, we need a guy.
They can do something. Pirates missed that. Pirates. I think Mbata, good player, but he isn't that.
Yeah, and that guy was able to handle him.
Easily.
So it's those kind of things. That we need these samples to be here. We are a rainbow nation, a country that will always steal ideas.
True.
From everywhere, because we are quite young
as a nation
in the global game. So the more samples, especially great samples we have passing through our shores, the better. Kaizer Chiefs had Botende Eshele back in the days from the DRC. It started a revolution. DRC players started coming.
We started coming.
Ajax had 3 of them. It was beautiful, but that just stopped. Yes, we've got a couple of DRC players now, but they're not coming the way the others used to come. It was like a tradition. There was a game played.
And Chiefs with the Zimbabweans.
Yeah, Zimbabweans. That culture just died.
Right, and it's not like the talent pool has stopped. These countries have the talent.
Continue to produce. So it would be great to have these samples, as I said. Pass through our shores. More ideas, more players that will push our guys to remind them that. There's bigger out there, because that's what they're going to face.
No worries at all. Thank you for another episode of the Playground Chat. It's been great. Thank you, Umjaka, for your time, firstly.
No problem.
Thank you for waiting for us. Hey, you had a bad morning. We had a bad morning.
No problem.
Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Please tune in to the best sportscast in the land, episode 32. We are outie.
Look to the sky, cause the stars gonna guide me. I got the fire that's burning inside of me. Hot nigga, I make the kernel stop popping. Yeah, never corny. Utuli bondo and I make a horny. Fuck that, I'm going home on in glory. Niggas, I know you be on them little corners. Plotting and scheming, they ask for the born thing. Cleaning cheese, I okabuli corny. Yeah, I tell the baddies I got it. Bougie as fuck, yeah, when I got it. She check the drip, yeah, cancel I got it. Ball main dress shirt, vintage designer. Poorly, I need my bang. Been in this bitch, yeah, I got Zuam. I act the ass, yeah.